Hey everyone, it is Tanya. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you are new here. Today I am back with another speed build and another installment of the squish, which is what we lovingly call tiny homes here on the channel as you're trying to squish everything into a small space. As it is officially summer now in the northern hemisphere where I live, I thought it would be nice to create a home based on the season of summer. I tend to do this every season where I will either create a tiny house or an apartment or both to really just celebrate the changing of the seasons. And it's just something I really enjoy doing, trying to create something that represents what I am experiencing in real life. And right now, New England is going through a really bad heat wave. So this feels very appropriate, especially since this house has a pretty sizable pool, especially for a tiny home. I honestly couldn't tell you the last time I went swimming, but with how warm it's going to be this week, I am definitely considering it. The apartment complex I live in does have an outdoor and an indoor pool, so it's something I am going to consider this week. But if your Sims are warm and they need to cool down, this home is going to be perfect with them, with this pool that actually wraps around the front and back of the house. There's lots of beautiful palm trees, and I'm actually building this in the base game world of Oasis Springs. And if you would like to download this build, it is available on the Sims 4 gallery. You can find it under my EAIZ, which is Gryphi, Gryphi. You can also find it under the hashtag Gryphi, and that information will also be in the description down below as well. So here I am just figuring out what sort of tiling I want to have in the pool, as well as trim and the new ladder that we got with the Riviera Retreat kit. I actually ended up using quite a bit of that kit in this build. I'm very much enjoying it. It's just nice to have some more items in the game that are centered around outdoor activities, which is something that is so prevalent in the summer months. I feel like you can get lost in all of the things you're doing, whether that's swimming, traveling, reading. There is so much to do in the summer, as a lot of people end up having time off, whether that's vacations, time off from school, and there's so many activities to explore. So I kind of wanted to represent that in this house. And when you're doing all of those sort of summer activities, it's really easy to lose track of time and forget to eat or not prioritize healthy meals. So today's sponsor could help you with that. Thank you so much to Factor for sponsoring today's video. Factor is a meal delivery service that sends you fresh, never frozen, chef-crafted meals straight to your door. Factor's no-hassle, prepared foods make sure you always have something nutritious on hand when you're too busy to think about cooking for lunch or dinner. I often find myself forgetting to eat or grabbing snacks or takeout when I'm gaming or when I'm editing YouTube videos, but Factor has helped me to break that cycle, and I'm eating healthier meals in just minutes. And not only are they delicious, but there are so many different options to choose from. Factor meals arrive pre-prepared and ready to eat in 2 minutes or less, even faster than ordering in. And meal plans offer variety with a rotating weekly menu that has more than 34 meal options and over 36 add-ons like smoothies, keto shakes, desserts, and more. In this month's box, I got creamy Parmesan chicken with broccoli and tomatoes, and it was so good. Such a delicious and filling lunch, and it only took 2 minutes in the microwave. So if you'd like to try out Factor for yourself, they've got a special deal for you. Get 50% off your first Factor box and 20% off your next month of orders using my link. Just click the link in the description or scan the QR code with your phone. Thank you so much to Factor for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get back to it. So just working on some more of the landscaping now. I am adding some more plants that are actually from the Show Live Edit Objects catalog from Island Living. I really love the greenery I ended up putting on this lot. And I also wanted to make sure there was an entrance into the backyard. I wasn't sure how much of a backyard space I was planning to have. It ends up being fairly minimal, but there ends up being some lounge chairs back here a little bit later, and you can also enter the pool from the back deck as well. But I feel like the front deck is the main space that your Sims are going to be utilizing. That's kind of how I planned out this house anyway. And this was such a fun one to do. I feel like I haven't been building as many tiny houses lately, but I think they're a blast. So if you have any suggestions of other tiny homes you would like to see on the channel, I would totally be down to add some more squish, some more tiny homes, tiny builds in general to the channel. I think that could be fun. I feel like there's plenty of themes I haven't done before, whether it's for individual homes, communities of homes, maybe like tiny restaurants or community lots in general. I feel like there's a lot of ideas. And of course, once the new expansion pack comes out, I'm sure I will be creating tiny homes in that world as well. I'm very excited about it. Obviously, there has been some leaks. If you look anywhere on Twitter or here on YouTube or any of the like fan sites, you're going to see all of those leaks if you're interested. But I'm not discussing them here so that I don't spoil you on that information if you didn't want to find it. But it is out there if you would like to find it. And I'm pretty excited by what I'm seeing. I just can't wait until we get that official announcement and get to see it all for ourselves. I know once the trailer comes out, I'm going to be doing a trailer reaction here on the channel. And of course, I will be making lots of content with the pack once it comes out, built in by overviews, full on builds, like all sorts of stuff. I'm always excited about new content in the game, especially expansion packs. But anyway, getting way off topic now. That's just been something that's been happening a lot on social media this week. This is the kitchen space. I do change the wallpaper in here so many different times. I do end up with a brown, like wood wallpaper still, kind of like I have now, but it ends up being a darker color. And I thought that worked so nicely, even though this is more of a summer themed house. I wanted the build itself to look like it was really cozy and could be utilized in any season. So I didn't want the colors of the actual built-in pieces to be like bright colors for the summer, but I thought the accents throughout the space could be. So there ends up being a lot of like dark woods and whites throughout the interior for the built-in pieces, but then all of the furniture has lots of yellows and blues, and I just thought the color scheme in here was so fun, so I really hope you will enjoy it as well. It's kind of inspired by the bed that I threw down in the other room, which is going to be our bedroom space. I do end up using that bed in the end. I think it is really pretty. That one is from Growing Together, and I don't think I've ever used that swatch before because it is so bright, but it was perfect for the concept of this build. It's just really fun to play around with color schemes you don't use as often. I feel like when I use blue combined with another color, a lot of the time it ends up being orange. So it being yellow in this one was a little bit different, and this is when I'm starting to experiment with the different wall colors. And for a while, I do end up picking out the like wood texture from Eco Lifestyle, which is one of my favorite ones in the game. But I feel like I overuse it, so I didn't end up keeping it in this space. But first, I am going to paint the entire exterior with it and all of the walls that I had previously had that other wood texture on the inside. And I will come back and change that in a little while to actually be a wood paneling that I think came with, I think it also might have come with Eco Lifestyle. It's a different one. I guess we shall see when I place it down, because I don't actually remember off the top of my head which pack it came from. It's not the one from the Book Nook kit, but it's kind of similar to that one. Anyway, right now I'm trying to figure out some artwork. I thought about adding this one, which is from the Kids Room Stuff Pack, because it has like a beach scene on it, but this is a tiny house set in the desert. It's not by the beach. So I decided to not have that there in the end. And actually what I ended up putting up there I think is really pretty. It ends up being this decorative wall piece from Eco Lifestyle that has a bunch of succulents and cacti in it. I just thought it was perfect, especially for this area. So that'll come to be a little bit later on once I find that in the catalog, because I don't know, when I think of summer, I always think of that particular painting that I placed, but it just doesn't work. It doesn't make sense for this lot. But this is the wallpaper that I do end up using. So I am going around and painting the exterior of the house and fixing all of the interior walls that I wanted to have there. And then I'm also going to be getting rid of these shelves. I really wanted to use those. Those ones are from the Home Chef Hustle pack, but they just weren't coming in the right swatch. So I did get rid of them in the end, and I ended up using the pre-decorated ones that came with For Rent. These ones right here, of course, got some cutting boards and a place for your dishes to dry. And I love how I place these windows sort of wrapped around the corner over here. I just feel like it opens up the space so much, and you have a nice view out to the pool. And I don't know, I just thought it was a nice modern touch. I really enjoyed how modern this build was, but it still feels really cozy because of all of the like warm wood tones in this space. Let me know if you agree. I know it's probably not going to be everyone's cup of tea. It's a style that I really enjoy doing with the like browns and blacks. I guess I didn't use as many blacks in here, but a lot of brown in this space, and of course all of the fun pops of color with the blue and the yellow. I really liked this rug. This one's from Horse Ranch, and to me it looks like waves. I think it's supposed to look like mountains, but for my purposes, it looked like water. It could be from the pool or the ocean or a lake or a pond, but it just made sense to me for a summer-inspired tiny house, so that's what I ended up putting in here. And then I'm just getting some soap by the sink in the kitchen. I just kind of pop back and forth and add a couple more decorations as I come up with them. So we're going to be adding some flowers here in the kitchen as well. They end up being right next to the stovetop, which is probably not the smartest idea, but it's The Sims, and I thought it looked cute, so I decided to do it anyway. So just placing that down now. And what are we working on next? Oh, by the way, I also put that drink tray up on top of the mini fridge. I just thought that would be nice and refreshing. I think the one I grabbed is from the backyard stuff pack. And then I end up using the one from Riviera Retreat out in the backyard. So there is a couple of different options for like refreshing drinks in the summer. I know my go-to drink in the summertime is lemonade. I love it so much. And I actually am considering after this voiceover going out and getting one someplace because I don't think I have any at home right now. I do buy a lot of lemonade to keep in the fridge, but sometimes it's nice to just go out and get a nice ice cold lemonade from someplace. But anyway, I just talked over that really beautiful succulent piece that I put over the TV. I think it is so pretty. I almost never use that, but it was perfect for this build, so I had to. And then speaking of items I almost never use, I used this painting from Seasons. It is so bright, which is why I don't typically use it, but I thought the colors in this were really nice. They're not necessarily entirely blue and yellow. There's a lot of orange in there as well, but I felt like it just brought out the vibe of the colors I was using in this entire tiny home. So I did end up using that in here over the bed, and I got a nice little side table over here as well, or a bedside table. That one is from that is from high school years. And then I just get a couple of decorations over here on the bedside table. You could definitely have this house as a rental if you'd prefer. I was kind of thinking it was more of a permanent home for this sim. Maybe they stay here so that they can afford to travel. They save money by living in a smaller space. But this could also be a rental home. Your Sims can vacation here. It's not overly decorated, so I feel like it's realistic that maybe your Sims are just vacationing. I know I did go on a vacation once where I stayed in a tiny house, which was so much fun. It had a lofted bedroom, which was actually kind of scary, going up the tall ladder and then being in such a small space. And I would not recommend doing that in the summer months because heat rises and it's very warm in those areas. But it could definitely be a home like that as well if you would prefer to have this as a rental for your Sims. But anyway, this is the bathroom. It's just a 3x1. I tend to do these in my tiny homes quite often because they are just a very good space-saving option. The shower that I put in the doorway, which is the one from Discover University, your Sims can walk right over that. It's basically a wet room in here. So there is no issues with routing. And then I just have a toilet on one side and a sink on the other and some decorations that fit the style of the rest of the home. I thought that came out quite nicely in here. And of course, I added some like shampoo and stuff into that shower space. And then we are heading back outside and I decided to add some of these glass pieces on the roof. These are from Island Living. Whenever I use these, I get questions about it. They're just like this little glass tile you can place anywhere, and it makes the floor that they are placed on transparent so you can see below. So if you put that on the deck, you would see under the foundation, for example. So I put a couple of those on the roof so that there was a beautiful skylight into that living space, and then I added a little roof piece over here just to add a little bit more dimension to this really flat roof. And I added one of those windows that are all over the build as well. And I think it looks really cool. That window technically isn't to anything, but in real life, that would be like an open space where you can get a little bit of light shining in, kind of like a skylight. So that was the idea here. And then I am grabbing a ton of items from Riviera Retreat. I ended up getting the loungers, which ended up going in the backyard. I do have the pool loungers as well. And I get a nice little table and chairs out on the front porch, especially because there wasn't space inside to have a table and chairs. So I thought it would be nice to have it out on that porch space. I also thought about extending this wood out in the back, but I ended up deleting that in the end and using those same sort of like tiles that I have out in the front, the little rocks that are technically rugs. They are from the Get Together expansion pack, and I just placed those just like I did in the front yard to create sort of a deck space back here, which I thought worked quite nicely. And since there isn't like a hard edge to it, they are just kind of staggered. I felt like that made more sense with not having a fence around the back of the property or just like that stark edge. So adding a couple more palm trees and plants back here. I don't go too overboard. I keep it very, very simple. I didn't want to put too much greenery because we are in Oasis Springs. It is a desert. Things are probably not going to survive very well out here, but I am getting some terrain paint. I got that drink tray, and I believe I end up getting another one of the plants that I put out front as well. I just bring that into the backyard and get some low-lying plants underneath all of the trees, as well as our outdoor trash can, and that should be pretty much it for this build. I really hope you enjoyed this one. I had a blast with it. If you did, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up. You can subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more, and click that bell to be notified when I upload. Thank you so very much for watching, and thank you again to Factor for sponsoring today's video. Make sure you check out those links in the description. And with that, we're going to head on into screenshots. Thank you again for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye, everyone.